Hey, Rich, how you doing?
All right, Michael, how are you?
I'm well. Are you back in Fort Collins?
I am back in Fort Collins. I've been here for, I don't know, about 5 weeks now.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. How's your project going down on the Big Island?
It's funny, we flew back April 19th, and when we landed in Oakland, we turned our phones on, and the architect sent us a message that they submitted our plans.
Yay.
And we were anticipating 8 months to a year to wait for our permit, and it came back in 28 days.
That's great.
Wow.
We're not ready.
Congratulations. Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
No, the Big Island is famous for long waits on your permit. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Michael.
How you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you. I'm longtime friends with Rich here, and I've been
Oh,
subscribed to your newsletter since you guys arrived in town. I just haven't been out to meet any of you in person.
all right. And where are you located?
I live about a block from the Lincoln Center and a block from the Old Town Post Office, and
All
I've,
right.
I've been in town about 33 years. So,
Local. That's
Wow.
yeah,
great. Nice to meet you.
you too. Yeah.
And
Michael, he owns about 6 bikes as well.
is that right?
That's a joke.
I learned that when you move to Fort Collins, you've got to have at least four bikes hanging in your garage, preferably more. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And who else do we know here? Sydney
Hey, it's Sydney and Sherry
and
Rosen.
Sherry. Nice to meet you both.
Hi, nice to
And
meet
where
you.
are you guys?
We are in Golden Meadows
In Fort
Okay.
Collins.
in Fort Collins.
Oh, okay. Great. Every,
We just moved here from Oregon about a year and a half ago.
oh,
And
okay.
finally got settled, more or less.
All
But we've
right.
been following Polestar Village and gardens online. It just looks like a wonderful, exciting project. So
Yes, and it's a good day to be indoors in Fort Collins.
There is.
I think we're getting a pretty good turnout because it's raining so hard out there today.
yeah.
Very, this is uncharacteristic of Fort Collins, we understand.
This reminds us of the Willamette Valley.
Yes, and it reminds us of Puna on the Big Island. Very, very familiar. And who else? Hi, Diane. And I think Marga is listening in. Anyone else who would like to introduce themselves before we get started here? I'm Michael. I think most of you have heard from me before.
My name's Rich Gentili.
Okay, there's Rich, yeah. And Frederick.
Hi, I'm Frederick. I've been following you all for a while now. One of my best friends is Sadiq, who's very interested in you all, and Inez. And I'm just happy to be able to jump on board for a little bit today.
Hello, Frederick.
Rich, hi, Rich.
How are you, buddy?
I'm Rich. Love it.
All right, you guys must know each other.
We
Yep.
do.
That's great. No, and I see Inez is there. Nice to have you, Inez. And tell Sadiq we say hello next time you see him.
Absolutely.
Oh, hi, Nicole. Good to see you. Wow. Well, glad everyone could join us here today. Did we ever hear from Gary?
Sorry, I have not heard back. We
Okay.
were emailing earlier today, but I sent him the link and then I asked him if he wanted to play something, but I haven't heard back yet.
All right. We have one fellow who's supposed to come today. He's a professional musician. I asked we were going to see if he might play something for us. But let's start with a little moment of silence, and I'll do a little reading, and we'll just kind of attune a little bit, and then we'll launch. So thanks for being here, everyone. And
You're welcome.
yeah, let's just take a moment, close our eyes, and
So hold on just one sec. Somebody has like a fan or something in the background. If you just want to mute, I can mute everybody if that's.
I don't hear it.
I hear it.
I hear it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Refrigerator running. All right. So let's close our eyes for a moment. Just take a deep breath. Exhale. Just allow yourself to become fully present, awake, and aware in this moment. Let's feel that connection of spirit with each other. Deep within and far beyond all our thoughts, all our ideas, just that stillness of being in connection. I'll read this little poem from Yogananda called Never Lose Hope. If you've given up hope of ever being happy, cheer up. Never lose hope. Your soul, being the reflection of the ever-joyous spirit, is, in essence, happiness itself. If you keep the eyes of your concentration closed, you cannot see the sun of happiness burning within your bosom. However, no matter how tightly you close the eyes of your attention, the happiness rays are ever trying to pierce the closed doors of your mind. Open the portals of calmness, and you will find a sudden burst of the bright sun of joy within your very self. Om, peace, amen. Okay, well, welcome everyone, and thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. We are, we're so delighted by all the people we are meeting, and turns out we aren't the only ones who think this is a good idea. And that's a good thing, because it's going to take a whole bunch of us to pull this off, and it's going well. It's going really well. Today's format is very simple. We're going to watch a couple of videos. They're very short. The first one's 3 minutes, and the next one's about 1.5 minutes. And then we've got a few more just clips of the land for some of you who may haven't been to the land. I'm looking at you, Marga. You almost made it last weekend, but didn't quite work out. So we got some nice little video clips of the land. This was from maybe a month ago or 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then the concept will be well introduced by that point for those of you who haven't seen these. And then we can just chat. We can ask questions. And this is a time for people who just want to hear more details or have questions that haven't been answered, for Anne and I and Terry to be available to answer anything or discuss anything. So why don't we go ahead and start, Terry? We'll start with the video, and then we'll show you the 3D tour, which is pretty exciting if you haven't seen it. Very, very fun. So go ahead, Terry.
Michael, I don't know why, but I think it's picking up the grid. It hasn't done that before, so just when I'm showing things, if you want to mute, then you don't get that back in the mute. Thanks.
Okay, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Is anybody else?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, you're
Can you
not
hear me
coming
now?
through very clear for some reason. I can hear you, but that's a little better.
Better? Huh. Okay, so
That
just
is better.
when we're showing stuff, do you want to mute? Because I think that sound is your fridge. I don't know why it's never picked it up before.
I am officially muting.
Oh, it is Michael. Okay. I don't know why that's so loud. Okay. So we're going to show the video. Go.
Hello, everyone. My name is.
Everybody hear that okay? Oh. I have to share my screen. Okay, can you see it now?
Yep.
is Michael, and I am co-founder of Polestar Gardens, an educational nonprofit my wife Ann and I started in the year 2000. Our essential goal in creating Polestar is to harness the power of intentional community for the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being of students of all ages. We define our core values as spirit, community, and lifelong learning. And our goal is to create a conscious community environment that supports these values. Most of our early years were spent on the big island of Hawaii, building a community, yoga retreat, and organic farm on 20 acres that became an ideal campus for our vision. We had 15 glorious years there, but in the 2018 volcano eruption, it decimated our property. Though the lava barely touched our northern border, our best buildings burned to the ground, and it marked a huge change in the direction of Polestar. Though we could have rebuilt there, what we really wanted was to make this lifestyle more accessible to more people. We wanted a less remote environment and one that would be more practical for meeting the needs of everyday life. After looking far and wide for several years, we have ended up with a project we absolutely love in Fort Collins, Colorado. And now I will hand off to Vina, and she can share more with you about the vision of life we have there.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vina. I first visited Polestar in Hawaii about 8 years ago and have been an active part of the community ever since. Polestar's values and the way they were held with so much joy, inclusivity, and grace resonated deeply with me. And so when the opportunity came, my 6-year-old and I packed up everything and moved out here to Fort Collins. This is an aerial shot of the land, and we consider the location ideal in many respects. It's only 3 miles to Old Town, 1.5 miles to Colorado State University, and just a half mile from shopping needs and medical support. We are nestled right up against the Front Range of the Rockies with hundreds of beautiful miles of hiking and biking trails, with Horsetooth Reservoir just over the hill. This site plan shows all the important features of community life, all of which are easily accessed on foot. With sustainably built, privately and collaboratively owned single-family homes, townhomes, condos, microhomes, apartments, and more, we have opportunities for a wide diversity of lifestyle and budget. There's also a large village green and garden, common areas for cooking, dining, and gathering, sacred space for daily yoga and meditation, elder housing, play areas and open space, 2 pickleball courts, and a network of pathways and trails. Our elder housing is conceived as a wellness center and is combined with the preschool to benefit all ages. Polestar's founding members have been living in, leading, and building communities for almost 5 decades. Our team of community builders includes expertise in meditation and yoga, farming and permaculture, education, sustainability, engineering, architecture, construction, finance, marketing, legal, and more. To learn more, you can visit our website and sign up for our newsletter, or request information about this unique investment opportunity. Thank you for your interest, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Michael, do you want me to go right to the?
Michael, you're muted.
Yeah, Michael, you're muted.
I'm jabbering away here. Yeah. So let's go to the site plan, and then I will explain a little bit, and then we'll do the 3D tour, and that'll maybe make the 3D tour a little more instructive. So you want to pull that up?
You oh, let me stop the show.
There it is. Okay. So I don't know how many of you can read plans very well, but Terry, show them where Elizabeth Street is, Elizabeth Avenue, right there. Okay, so a lot of Fort Collins people today, so you know that. And then some of you know Dennis and Bailey, and that's their house. Show them the house. There you go. So that's the south edge of the property. We're going to watch a 3D tour that is basically looking south from some kind of elevation, like 50 feet in the air or 100 feet in the air or something, and we'll be looking. We'll be on the south end. We'll be looking north. I said that wrong. So we'll be looking north at all these buildings, and then flying kind of around and through the village center. So just to see it in plan view might help you to understand it a little better. But there's a large garden at the center, and around the perimeter is housing, an agricultural building. That's the agricultural building, the meditation temple, and the community center. So yes, so that'll just orient you a little bit. And then as long as we're here, we're going to show you a few videos, and I'll tell you the places of which they're shot from, just so a little later on we'll show you. So one is from the retention pond, which is the bottom left of the screen. That's too big. Bottom left, go all the way off the land. Yeah. So I'm on the other side. There you go. Thank you. I'm on the other side of that and looking across, and you'll see a video of that. And then another one is from the north edge on Orchard Street. Go to Orchard Street. Yeah. And then the other one is from Plum Street, standing right there at the entrance. Just stop on the entrance there. Yeah. Okay. And so anyway, just to give you a little orientation, and I'll remind you of this when we get to the video of where those places are. But let's go to the 3D tour now, and you can check that out. And I think let's just play a little bit of it and then pause, and then see if anybody has any questions while we're looking at it. So we're looking north from Elizabeth Street, roughly, but we're up in the air. You can see the village green. The garden doesn't look very impressive, and that's a limitation of the program more than anything. Turns out it's hard to make a realistic looking garden, or it's real labor intensive. So we haven't gotten there yet. But our architect put in rows of plants is what those are supposed to be. So and then you'll see a tot lot on the left. Little place to play, community center, temple, pickleball courts. So before we roll any farther, anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts? One thing I'll mention is that there's a little house. There's one single family dwelling on the green right there. And it happened sort of by accident. It was supposed to be a duplex, but the city nixed it for technical reasons I won't go into. And all that would fit there was a single family. So it actually created a nice opportunity for a phase one common house. So our current plan, because you look at the common structure on the left there, which is very large and expensive structure, and it'll be hard to afford it early. But this little house will give us a chance. It's not that little. It's a couple thousand square feet. Will give us a chance to have. We'll use that as the common house in sort of phase one, and it'll have a place to meditate, a common kitchen, and some guest rooms. So right off the bat, the idea is we'll have all the functions that we really need for gathering and dining and meditating together. So that's kind of a great thing. All right, go ahead, Terry. You can keep playing it. But if anybody has any questions, go ahead and throw them out there. These are fourplexes on the right. And the three-story buildings are 10. The one on the far left is 12 units, and the other two have 10 units. And all the ground floor are designed for age-in-place living. So you can come right out onto the green and access all these things. without really going even up any steps. And so the houses we're seeing behind the village green, kind of behind the apartments, is the next cluster of houses up. And there's many more that don't show because they haven't been rendered yet. But we wanted to render the village center because it's really the heart of the life of the community. So go ahead. We're doing a little astronomical orientation with the garden paths, which should be kind of fun. I could tell you more about that later. Get a good view of the temple there. Oh, why don't you stop for a moment? The community center, one of my favorite parts about the community center is the flat roof on top. Because I really think that'll be, I could imagine us having yoga up there in the morning, or meditations, and an extra gathering place. And I think it'll be a really, really, I mean, you got a great view from there of the mountains and of the sunrise, and I think it'll be a really, really great asset for the community. Also, take a look at the trails. They're designed to make everything easier to walk, ideally easier to walk than to drive, you know. So you know, one of the main principles of the new urbanism movement is walkability, and so we've really tried to make the trails magnetic and functional and useful for everyone. So go ahead. It's amazing what they can do with these programs, isn't it? I don't have, okay, that's good. We can go back now to seeing actual people. I don't have it yet, but the architect said he'd set me up so I have the viewer and where you can just, you know, go around everywhere. And of course, the next level is the goggles. You put on the goggles and you walk around on the whole community. It's kind of cool. So, yeah, any thoughts or questions so far? Anything on any level? Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
Michael, can you bring us up to date on the timeline and what's happening with the city and
Sure,
when you might get your permission?
you bet. We hit a big lull with the city over the winter, and they were just they were understaffed. I think was the biggest part of the problem. The floodplain management department and associated departments. There's a stormwater and there's floodplain. And anyway, I'm told they're used to a staff of 6. This is just the floodplain, and they only had 2 people, and they're very busy. So we basically just sat waiting for information. As my planner put it, we waited 3 months for 15 minutes of thought from the city. So, oh man, I gotta tell you, it was stressful. But finally, they came through, and we got the information we needed. We wrapped up the plan because everything else was done except that. And our third, what they call PDP, Preliminary Development Plan, went in on Wednesday last week. And they will reply within 3 weeks. And our planners believe, fingers crossed, that this will be the last preliminary plan, that we will be able to go to public hearing and towards final plan after that. So it was a big milestone to get that third one in, and we're all super excited about it. So to answer your question more specifically, the we hope and expect to make public hearing in August. So that would be like the first or second week in August. And if all goes well, we would be able to break ground early next year. So that's kind of what we're targeting at this point. Once we get through the political process of the planning, which is after public hearing, then there's a lot more elbow grease, engineering and plans and final plans and development agreements, etc., that have to happen before you can actually start building anything. So, and then even then, you start with what's called the horizontal construction, which is the roads and the sewers and the water lines and all that, and that's several months. So we actually probably won't be building actual homes till mid next year would be a good goal for us. But we're very hopeful to keep that goal, which is to say we could have people living there by the end of next year, you know. So that's the rough outline of the goal. Thanks for the question. I wanted to cover that in this anyway, to give everybody the update. Yeah. Go ahead, Frederick. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, really enjoying this and enjoying meeting Michael and Ann and Terry and seeing Rich and knowing Inez is here. And I'm impressed. It's like really fun to see what's happening. It's amazing, in fact, to see the vision and the scope of what you're doing, we're doing. And wow, and I love the fact that I'm just going to just share some initial impressions, okay? Because I haven't been on these calls before. And I love the fact that you all are bringing so many years of experience from Hawaii. And that must have been an amazing event in 2018 and have to like start over and embrace that journey. And look, long, and so blessed that Fort Collins was the winner. So that's cool. So my question is a little bit different from where had gone, which is fine. And my experience with community has been that just to put it crudely, that the shadow always wins. The human shadow, the human ego always wins. And I'm wondering, you haven't talked about that yet, and maybe this is not the call for that since we're doing a tour, but maybe briefly address, like, how are you going to deal with the shadow of our human egos, right?
Yes, well, I look at it a little differently than that, but it's a very fair question, and as you may know, Anne and I have lived in communities for 45 years. You know, literally our entire adult lives. You know, so we have and several different ones, and been in leadership positions and not leader positions, and founder positions and not, and so we've seen all sides of it. You know. And there's a couple levels I could answer your question on, but I'll in the interest of brevity, I'll pick
Okay,
you.
sure, of course.
Yeah.
This is
One is what we've decided is that the way to look at this community is as a neighborhood. We're creating an intentional neighborhood. So everybody lives in a neighborhood, you know. You're already there, shadow or no shadow, you know.
right.
So
right.
and so we're and in the life that we've seen in community, we've learned some important things. One, people change, people evolve, people grow, people die, people are born. I mean, it's a river that's always changing, you know. So what our
Yes.
goal is to create a culture that expresses our values, and to be very clear about what those are. You know, we basically, spirit community lifelong learning says it's about as well as we know how to say it, honestly, without going into greater detail. But we're trying to support people's physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, and growth. And yes, we all have egos, and we have to deal, and but the art of community is investing in friendships. We also have the potential for divinity. We also have the potential for divine friendships, So what we've learned is to focus on investing in the ways we know how to do it, and to make relationships as harmonious as they can be. And we lived, at Polestar in Hawaii, we had one kitchen and 20 adults, So we that's and a bunch of shared bathrooms in there as well, So that's the front lines of community. so,
You could handle those bathrooms. You could
yeah.
handle anything, right?
That's true. But
Okay.
what we've learned is to focus on investing in the relationships. And we have very specific ways we do that through sharing sacred space, through serving together, through eating together, and through playing together. And we just try to keep that curriculum front and center. The main thing is keep the main thing the main thing. That is the main thing. We keep bringing that focus back. And I remember when my niece tuned into what we were doing on the Big Island, she said, "How is that not drama 24/7?"
There you go.
That is a fair question, but in fact, it wasn't. We had some amount of drama, but compared to the grace and the connection and God, it was rich beyond belief, So it's not like we'll be drama free or we'll all suddenly lose our egos, but
Bad chance.
we have to deal with it, and so anyway,
Good.
without going
Good.
into much
Thank
more
you.
detail,
Thank
so
you.
yeah, you bet. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I appreciate it. And I read all your newsletters, and I've got your website open here. I've read all of that, articles, and followed the articles in the newspaper, and very interested in community living and cohabitating living and et cetera like that, especially as I near retirement, probably not having a single family home anymore, but being really part of the community, and maybe downsizing from my house to a condo or a townhouse. The whole concept sounds great. I lived on the Big Island for a year and a half. I worked for Fish and Wildlife doing endangered bird research there.
Wow.
At a volcano. So I'm familiar with some of the communities in the Big Island. I didn't know you guys back then, but
Very cool. Wow.
yeah. I did have a question. You said on your website, you mentioned townhouses and condos. And then in your tour, you said there were, looked like 2 fourplexes and 3 10-unit apartments. Maybe
Yes.
could you speak a little about those?
You bet.
Thanks.
The current, and it's a little complicated, so I'll keep it brief, but I'm happy to talk about it, to go in more detail personally if you want to. But just briefly, part of the concept of the community housing is TIC, what they call a tenants in common, collaborative ownership of a certain subset of the units. So we're Polestar's intention is to own some of those units in collaboration with a bunch of other private investors, and to make a tenants in common and own the housing that's on the green. So it'll probably be about 40 units. So basically, the beauty of a tenants in common ownership model is the flexibility it provides everyone. And this is especially appropriate in a community like ours, because people come, they're single, then they get in a relationship, then they have kids, and then they divorce, and then it goes on and on, or the grandkids come, or now the mother-in-law has come. So if you're in this TIC with about 40 units, you can have your own little place, or you could upgrade it without having to sell it, and you're in the same community, you have the same friends and same, So anyway, it's the tenants in common is a well tried and vetted approach to home ownership. It's not like way outside the box. Um, in fact, the communities we've been involved with have used it for literally 30, 40 years. And so we've learned a lot from all that, including how we would do it a little differently to avoid some pitfalls. But generally, they have worked extremely well and provided what I was saying, the flexibility and also being a good investment. Let's say somebody wants to come 5 years from now, they could invest in the TIC. It's a rental, which is a real asset to the community because, some people can't buy and want to be part of the community. And so we consider that a plus. And then maybe in 5 years they will move there, And so it's an investment opportunity as well as a living opportunity, or a little of both. Some people don't have all the money to build their own unit, but maybe they got 50 to 100,000 they can put in and have a stake and get a return on that investment and also be a renter. So there's a lot we like about that approach. And so the apartments especially are going to be owned by the TIC, and we hope other units as well. It does remain to be seen who wants to do what. It's got a lot of building community depends on who shows up, what their skills are, what their interests are. It's because we all create it. It's really one of the fun things about building community, because everybody's skills can be put together in fun and dynamic ways.
So Inez has had her hand up for a while. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead, Inez. You can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi, Inez.
Sorry, I've had my video turned off because I'm needing to do some other things while I'm listening.
Okay, no problem.
So hi, Michael, and
Hi, Inez.
everybody else. I have a question, which I know I've asked before, so I don't know if you have any other answers than what I've heard before, but
Okay.
it's around the timeline. I know that there's going to be different phases of certain units being built first and then other units. So I'm just wondering if you have any more specifics
Okay,
about
so the
that.
question she's asking is about what gets built first, and because in terms of when can I move in, that's everybody's question.
Right.
So it's fair enough. It's a very good question, and it is a complex answer. Unfortunately, it is based largely on financial realities. So to put in the roads and the alleys and the infrastructure, the sewers and all, water, all that, takes a significant sum of money, and the art of developing a project, or really any project like this, is to not have too much outlay of cash and be able to start building. So her question is, how is that going to play out in Polestar? It's something we think a lot about and are still wrestling with. We have hopes that we're going to hit it out of the park with the funding, and if we do, we're likely to put in all the infrastructure and get building everywhere at the same time, because there'd be nothing stopping us from doing that. But it is certainly possible and perhaps probable that a more phased approach will be necessary. And so we learned just this week that there's because a lot of the stuff we're doing aligns with just a forward-thinking way to live and to develop. And there's a lot of, and we are a 501c3, we're an educational nonprofit, so there's a lot of potential funding sources. We just learned about a new one this week that actually would help nonprofits buy land for missing middle housing. So we might get lucky and really solve the financial problem early on, but in the case that we have to more phase everything, or as we call it, sequence everything, we are likely to put in the Orchard Street extension and the Plum Street all the way through, and then pick a couple of alleys that we want to build on. Now, which alleys we pick could be based on who's put their money in and wants what units. That would be a factor. Does that make sense? So in other words, the alleys will be significant infrastructure costs. And so you want to pick an alley that's going to serve the most people.
But Michael, can you give us a timeline roughly of those things?
Well, I would say, yeah, it's pretty much already set it. You know, the timeline would be what I said earlier. It all goes well with the political process, and it looks good. I have to say, it does look good. But the city has surprised us before, and who knows what can happen between now and then. But if things go well, we should be able to break ground early next year, start vertical construction mid next year, and have people living on the land by late next year. And this would mean, so that brings up my other idea, which is that if we build the apartments, we could have people who are planning on living in a different unit live in those apartments for a period of time until more got built. So there could be a phasing strategy in that sense as well, that people who really just want to move and get on the land could opt for an available unit but then move later. So that's a possibility. So I probably didn't give any more of a satisfying answer than I did last time. I apologize, but that's the best I can do. It is so many forces beyond our control. But money is the big one, you know. So we, as a mentor, one of my mentors told me once, if you can get the money, if we can do just about anything.
And everything has taken longer than we imagined so far.
That's Anne, the voice of reason there. Yeah, the current, you know, we've every 6 months it seems like we have to put back our expectations, you know. But I will say that right now our planners are optimistic. They think we've paid our dues already in terms of all the difficulties, and we'll see. We'll definitely keep you all posted. It's definitely a rough ride, you know. This is, if it were easy, everybody'd be doing it, you know. So, hi Gary Roller, I see you there.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, Inez, thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Rich.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, Rich, and then Diane. I see your question, and we'll go to Diane next.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a statement here, Michael. You know, the quicker you can get this built out, will be great, because otherwise a bunch of us are just going to move in with you and Ann until the other apartments are ready.
Okay, we better hurry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to know what you guys have come up with, because I know you and I have talked about it quite a bit, but what's the energy going to be in there? Are we looking at solar? Are we looking at geothermal? What are you looking at?
We are, all the residences in there will be at least LEED Silver certified. So, which is to say, LEED, if you don't know it, it's an acronym, LEED. It's basically a certification for building efficiency and aesthetics, and it goes through many different things, health. So we are shooting for net zero, and we are at the least going to have all the units solar ready, so that you could add solar to the roof. And the city is still talking to us about the potential for doing a microgrid at Polestar. in which we would have a community solar system and a smart interface with the grid, and basically you would, use their power when you need it, sell your power to them when you didn't, and basically it's where the whole universe has to go, the whole planet has to go to really get efficient with our power use. And as some of you may know, the city of Fort Collins has committed to net zero by 2030, and we're on the same page with that. That's where we're headed to. That's really what we want to do. And then there's a whole thing about a vehicle to grid thing, and we've had some tantalizing prospects at various points, including the possibility that somebody would donate 50 vehicles to us for the V2G thing, So there's a whole bunch of energy going on the energy world. We have a fellow who's on the energy board who is a huge proponent of Polestar, and he's constantly stirring it up and trying to get this microgrid figured out for us. So don't know if it'll happen, but it's still alive right now. And a couple of times we thought it was dead, but it's back alive again recently. So we'll see.
On Big Island, or actually across the islands, it's now mandatory on any new builds that you have to do solar hot water.
Yeah, that is a no-brainer. Yeah.
So it's just something to consider.
And the reason they don't do it here is because there's winter. It's a much more complicated technology having to deal with freeze and thaw. But you're absolutely right. In Hawaii, it pays for itself in like 3 years or something. It's really a smart and obvious technology.
Okay.
So we've got a question from Diane, and then Marga will go to you. So Diane had a question about the roofs. She said that if you have any concerns about flat roof in a community center because of the amount of snow that we got, she had a flat roof that collapsed once. So she's
that's
having grown
memorable.
up in Pittsburgh, PA. I grew up with a flat roof, and we had
you probably think I'll never do
a lot
that.
of problems with it.
Yeah.
So I know you don't get as much snow here as the Northeast, but and the sun comes out and it melts quickly, but it's just always.
So you have to design for the appropriate snow load here, and there are plenty of flat roofs in Fort Collins, but they have to be designed as such because they don't shed the snow as readily or at all. So that is definitely an issue, and a good reason not to do it. Because it's more expensive, but for the asset of an extra community space and the aesthetics of that space, I think it'll be well worth it. So good question.
Yeah, I was just curious, but I'm also I wanted to thank you, Terry, for reading it. I'm also trying to multitask, so thank you. I wasn't sure I was going to get back on, but yeah, I just wanted to say that I am very interested in the age in place units.
Okay, cool.
Having just recently moved my mother here from Florida. So, and so there's very few of the, how many age in place units will there be?
Almost all the downstairs units are designed for age in place. So that's the community wide, not counting the single family.
Every building.
All the downstairs apartments of all the buildings are designed for age in place. So there's quite a bit of selection there.
So how many units altogether are age in place?
Good question. I'll bet it's 30 or 40.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Just in the apartments, there's 12 because there's 4 on each of those large buildings so that's 12 right there, and then there's 4 more. So just on the Village Green, there's 16 on the Village Green. So it's quite a few.
And are they 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom?
They vary.
They're a mix. Okay.
Yeah, they vary.
Yeah.
But I can show that to you sometime when you come by. I can explain that to you more Typically.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
You bet.
Marga, go ahead.
Thank you, Michael. I wish I could have seen you last weekend. I almost made it, but I'm back in North Carolina now.
Okay.
I will at some point this year, hopefully, get out and to see the land. My question is mostly about water. And you have to excuse my ignorance. I really don't know much about Colorado in terms of water and the water rights and, how, what is Colorado doing in terms of how is Fort Collins situated in that way? What is Polestar? I imagine you guys coming from Hawaii really thought about that. But my thought is about 10 years into the future, 20 years, 50 years. What can you tell me about water?
You bet. You're absolutely right. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And so what we have, the fact that we're in the city limits of Fort Collins means that we get city water. So that is a good thing. You're trying to develop something. The water is one of the first things you have to ask yourself if it will be supported, if the development will be supported by enough water. And the answer is yes, because we are in the city limits. The city is on the hook for delivering water to everybody. Now, that comes at a tremendous cost, and the cost of water fees, infrastructure has gone up and it goes up every year. It's a very expensive part of our development, unfortunately. It's right now our current estimate is 1.3 million for the subdivision for the water infrastructure. I forget what the word is. They have the acronym for it. I can't remember it right now. But anyway, that doesn't include the irrigation water. And as part of the purchase of the Happy Heart Farm, we also purchased water rights in the Pleasant Valley Water and Canal or something, the name of the company, that has the ditch that flows along our property. So we purchased a half a share. It was expensive, but it allows us 19.5 acre feet of irrigation water between May and October. And so that's like way more water than we could ever use on irrigation. But it does give us the right, so to speak, of growing food and making a beautiful green community, and that is our intention. We intend to distribute that infrastructure around and encourage people to garden and landscape around their homes. And that's something was part of the vision and a little bit the history too of Happy Heart Farm. It's a little bit continuing that energy. So is that enough of an answer for now?
Yeah, for now that's great.
Yeah.
That helps me calm my fears about water.
Yes.
Thank you.
For the whole human race, it is a big deal, So
thank you.
Okay.
So I think those are all the questions that we had. Unless anybody else?
Well, this could be good timing because we are coming up on the hour here. We try to keep these things to an hour, so we don't go over too much. And I see Gary is here. Gary, would you be interested in playing a song for us to close? I put him on the spot. He's probably in his pajamas or something. I don't know. Oh, it looks like Marcia is just coming in. I bet she had the time wrong. Darn it. Okay, no word from Gary.
Michael, I would like to just say quickly that
Please.
Many of you might know who are getting our newsletter, but we're already starting the infrastructure of creating community with getting together in our garden. We have a full organic garden. We're there almost daily doing things in the garden. We have meditations. We were meditating in the open temple this morning, even as water was kind of coming in from every side. We have potlucks, we have kirtans. It's a lot of fun. So anybody that's here locally or visiting, please come join us in any of those events. And coming up on the 16th of June, we're going to have a kirtan at Moon Shadow Meadow. That is Deb and Stace that are here locally. So that'll be a lot of fun too. That's here in Fort Collins. Everything is on our calendar on the website. We also have a Slack channel if you're interested in getting more kind of up-to-date type conversations on there. So thanks everybody for joining, and let us know if you need more information. You can email Michael, Ann, or I.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you,
Great.
Terry.
Thank you.
And
Talk soon.
Thanks, you guys. Really great to see you all. And come by the land and see us. This rain's got to stop sometime.
Out there, even in the rain.
Wednesday nights, there's a potluck. The kirtan is at 5:30. Potluck starts at about 6:30, 6:45. So you could come for either or both. And it's a nice night to come because it's just relaxing and it's beautiful out there. But yeah, come take a look at the calendar, like she said. And Terry, thank you for organizing all this. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Great rest of your
Bye.
day.
Soon.
And Marcia, I'm sorry if you got the time wrong, because you just came in. But I got your message, and I will call you next week.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I did get the time wrong.
Oh, I was
Sorry.
afraid of that. Darn it anyway.
I'm
And
an hour off here on the West Coast. So
that's right. It was mountain time. Yeah, I figured that was it. And
but I think
Gary,
you recorded this, right? So I could get the recording maybe.
she did.
We'll post that.
She did.
Okay, great. Thank
All
you.
right.
And I'll
You
talk
guys
to you
take
soon,
care.
Michael.
All right.